Hey, what's good, guys? This is Chris from WearTesters.com. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got something slightly different. We're going to be talking about these guys once again. It's the Kyrie 6. I have been playing in these, but it's not the performance review. Instead, we've been hearing about this for a while now, since the first, leak. I do think that the same thing that a lot of people are talking about as well, thinking that these shoes actually look a lot like these shoes. And what's funny about this is that having them side by side almost devalues that opinion.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where if you don't quite remember, or like you know what it looks like.
The callbacks are there, but they're also so subtle. But without seeing them side by side, it's like, oh, this is definitely a Yeezy 2 knockoff. But it's just weird when you put them side by side and you're just like, man, they really are very different. Just as a brief explainer, I guess, this shoe right here is the Nike Air Yeezy 2. This is before Kanye was with Adidas. This to me is kind of a grail. Grails to me are shoes that I will most likely never obtain, and this is definitely like probably the highest on that list, because I don't even know what these resale for. What I'm thinking is, 15 to 1800. Like that's like a few months worth of car payments. If you got money like that, that's awesome, but that's not me. And even if I did, I don't know if I would be able to do that, being me, coming from where I come from and being like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna drop 1800 on a pair of sneakers. I don't think so. That's just my little preface. This is just a grail to me. This is the first time I've ever held these. It's interesting. I can't believe that they're in my hands. So big thank you to one of my friends. I don't know, should I know? He knows who he is. So thank you to you for letting me borrow these, because without that, we wouldn't be able to do this comparison. So let's get into it, shall we? These things are really heavy, these metal things.
The aglets?
Good job on that.
Thanks.
They come off.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so weird. I remember this being like one of the cooler features, but people were losing them also because they untwist while you're wearing them. This is a really interesting shoe. When I first saw the Kyrie 6, the Yeezy 2 was the first thing on my mind. I was like, man, those look like the Yeezy 2s. But again, when they're right next to each other, they really don't look like each other. You could just see subtle things. So it's like this back section, the molding of the heel counter, it's these little ribs. It basically is these little ribs, or the ridges or whatever. That's about as callback as it gets right there. You know what I mean? Other than they're both rubber. But that's not a strong enough tie to be like, yeah, that's exactly like it. And then you have the back section, the leather. You got that, and then the overall kind of cut and shape of the collar, very similar. But this right here, this split of materials has been happening since, not the first Kyrie, but since the second one. Since the Kyrie 2, they've always done a rear half of the shoe be one material, and then the forefoot be a different material. But it's just the overall kind of like shape, like the cut, the way that it's designed, I guess. The two eyelets right there, two eyelets here, would have been really cool. That's actually something that I do think is strange. You could see a weird punch out around it, like it's like divoted, you know what I mean? Plus the hole. And this guy has the little grommets on there, which these, honestly, they should have it on there. I don't know why they're not there, but I just thought that was really weird, because that definitely has that look to it. And then if you go to the inside, the small swoosh kind of reminds me of that. The strap is probably one of the other things, the main, or maybe the last thing that's the main visual tie to the Yeezy, but the straps are completely different. I love the strap on the Yeezy. Not the strap itself, just the way that it's put on the shoe. How you can do this is very 90s.
It's what you do when you wear those 312s?
Yes, it's what every 90s person did with any strap, is that you would unstrap it, because you're not playing in them at the moment. If we were to hoop in this, we would strap it for basketball. You don't want this dangling around while you're running around and stuff. But for casual wear, you just let it loose. This strap right here, I wish it was like this, just because of the lacing thing. Like, I hate that this little patch right there grabs onto everything underneath it. It literally frays up these laces. Come on, man. Like, what? So that pisses me off. And then also the neoprene is getting it too. And so when I go to lace these, I have to tuck that thing in there. And this strap doesn't feel like it's quite long enough. So like when my foot is in there, it barely kind of like goes over. And it's just really weird. So I think that the strap is definitely a visual tie or whatever, or a visual like, hey, these got a midfoot strap, these got a midfoot strap. But as far as function goes, this is just a much better strap, I think. Yeah, you got the little ridges right there. You got some ridges right here. That's about it though. Otherwise, they don't even look remotely the same. I think it's very strange, but very cool at the same time. This shoe, this is such a pretty shoe, I think. It's so simple. Like, I really like the textile. I love the suede. Like, that's so clean, and it's so small too. This is what the Jordan 3s should be, with the elephant print, very thin instead of like big, bold, and boxy and all that. Like, the toe is so sleek. The tooling on this is from Air Tech Challenge 2, just a personal favorite shoe of mine. This shoe really like reinvigorated my love of that shoe. So you almost forgot about those, you know what I mean? But then when these used the tooling from there, much like the Yeezy 1 used the tooling from like the Air Jordan 3 or the Air Revolution, it just kind of like makes you realize how perfect the tooling is, where you can put it on multiple models and it looks great with each of them. The Jordan 4 tooling with the Air Flight 89 is a good example of that too. This tooling, honestly, like it's great for basketball, but as far as aesthetics go, it like ruins the look of the shoe. It makes it look bulbous, bulky. It sticks out in the back right there, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a weird look. It's super weird in the front, like really rounded, but not like the old Kyries where you put it on the floor and it like wobbles and stuff. It's not rounded to that sense, so it's nice and flat, straight, or linearly right here, but it definitely, you know what I mean? Like, really bulges out right there. Again, great for traction. So performance-wise, it's awesome. This would be a killer tooling. You know how they've been mashing shoes up from categories? So there's like the tennis shoe, and then they mix it with a basketball shoe.
Oh yeah.
And then they also have done it with soccer boots and mixed it with basketball. Could you imagine this tooling being on the Air Tech Challenge 2 for modern performance for tennis players of today? Tell me Serena Williams wouldn't up with a rounded outsole like this.
She could do it in flip-flops. So,
she could do it. She could do it barefoot, but like still, like with some tooling like this, it's a lateral sport. Something like this, like, look, I gotta tell this story. I was gonna try to hold off for the performance review, but I gotta tell this story. This traction right here is great, and it's so good that it knocked me on my ass last night. It's such a funny thing. Sometimes this happens to me where like, this happens to players all the time, like regularly. Not all players. Like, if you're like a great player, like you have really great footwork. But if you get lazy, which I can get, every once in a while I'll let my feet drag a little bit, and I was just standing there. I was positioning myself to potentially turn around and grab hopefully a rebound. So I was kind of under the basket, and we were playing small half-court game. I was just kind of like following the ball and all that stuff, and the guy that I was guarding doesn't shoot super well, so I was kind of just letting him hang out there, and if he got it, I'll just live with it. If he makes it, whatever, but I'm expecting a miss so I can get the ball. And this little peg right there, man, this little peg just like kickstanded my ass so hard, and I just was standing there. I don't know what happened, but I just kind of drug my foot just a little bit. It wasn't even anything crazy, but I just drug it a little bit, and it went right on the floor. And I swear, like, somebody could have yelled timber, you know, because I just went boom like that, and like I started laughing. It was hilarious. There's some things that you don't want caught on video. That was one of the things where I was like, man, I wish that I would have filmed that, because that would have just, those things really make my day, even if they're about me.
Can I insert a video?
Of? No, it's not that one. No, not that one. No. Is it the one where I was in the bathroom for a second, and then all of a sudden I was in our laundry room?
Yeah.
No, we're not going to do that one. My kid has a stool, my son, or our son. The last time that I said that, somebody freaked out.
Yeah.
So it is ours, or he is. He's not it. But yeah, I was in the bathroom, and he has a little stool that he uses to get up, and like, he doesn't need it now, but like, he had one to reach the faucet. And I was just quickly doing everything, and I went to go turn to leave the bathroom, and all of a sudden the stool was under my feet, and I was in the next room trying to catch myself.
And our security camera caught it all.
Yes, and it was hilarious.
So it lives on forever in my phone.
So those are pretty much my quick comparisons, I guess you will say. And now I'm gonna bring in probably like the best person to ask about sneakers, which is my wife, because she's probably gonna roast these. So let's bring her down, shall we? They really look nothing alike, I gotta say. It's almost jarring, where like this, Yeezy 2, like this, nah, not really. You know how like when people will be like, you know who you look like? And then you put your picture next to them, you're like, just kidding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When did these originally release? When I hear Yeezys, I think of the Adidas line.
So the dates in here, the production dates from 2011 through 2012. So they either released in 2012 or, wait, let me see. Yeah, February 2012. So they probably released that summer. But yeah, so right around that time frame, which we were on YouTube, or I was, this was one of the shoes that kind of like caused a stir. They were only released at certain locations. And
oh, it was like a select city drop?
yeah, like it was at select cities and select accounts. And even then, this was at the time like a real quick strike. Quick strike now is more used as a way for you to not be able to use your coupons, which is up, but that's just kind of what it is. So like this in today's term would be maybe a tier 0, like very select accounts, very limited. It's an interesting style. It feels so, it's such a weird shoe to have in my hands. They're hella heavy.
It's those aglets.
It might be. What do you think about these though? Because this is like a hot commodity. Like this is a shoe.
Yeah.
This is long before like major collabs. Like you'd get some collabs. You'd get like the Diamond Supply collab, like the Tiffany Dunks. You'd get the Kanye shoe. Very rare. You know what I'm saying? To have collabs like that. Now it feels like there's like a collab releasing every month.
Well, I was gonna say this was the original. Who's the guy who does the one who was with Jenner?
Huh?
Cactus.
Well, he's with a Kardashian too.
No, they're not together anymore. Our daughter just told us.
Oh, you're talking about Cactus Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, Travis Scott.
So this is the original Travis Scott, right?
This is the original before Drake even had OVO Jordans. Yeah, this was the guy.
Yeah.
Like Kanye started it.
Crazy.
That's how long ago, but short, because it's not, 2012 is not that long ago.
No.
It's within the decade.
Yeah.
That's how quick the sneaker space has changed in a handful of years. And it's just interesting because this design is almost outdated at this point, you know, where this is bulky.
Which is weird because it's so sleek compared to
That's why
the
there's
Jordans.
Yeah, and they're so pretty, man. This is such a dope shoe. Like I understand if you don't like it, like that's cool. This is coming from though somebody that loves the Jordan 3s, the Jordan 4s, you know what I mean? Like a bulkier.
Well, and even then, the original release of those models are so much sleeker than
Even the retros. Yes. And those are the ones that I really dig. So that's what I really like about this is just the way that it looks, the way that it borrows some tooling, but it doesn't take away so much to where it's just like, oh, that kind of just looks like a rehashed design. They legit don't look like anything. It's only 2 things or 3 things if you count the panel. I just wanted to add one thing because I forgot to say this in the video, but the top line, like the design here, and then also the rubber design is definitely derived on this guy right there. So you can see where they kind of like take those shapes and, you know, like from this original tooling and they update them on these guys right here, which I thought was pretty interesting. It's a nice way to pay tribute without it being a complete straight, you know, copy and paste job. It's the panel, it's the rear rib, and just construction. She thinks that whenever I say rib that it's really funny for some reason. Because if you guys are wondering where the That's What She Said jokes come from, like I did start them on the channel, but I use them very sparingly, okay? But this guy right here, she's just a walking That's What She Said. Like I'm serious. How do you like your coffee? Creamy. That's what she said, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, guys. So yeah, so she likes dick and fart jokes almost as much as I do. It's so weird. We're meant for each other.
You're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome. But anyways, we're just gonna vote, just the 2 of us, and then we're gonna leave it up to you guys. I'm gonna say, out of a basic yes or no, does this shoe look like the Air Yeezy 2? I'm gonna say no afterwards, even though I did originally. So yes or no?
No. There's an homage.
Yes,
to
I was just gonna add, does it have tribute elements?
Yes.
Yes, I agree with that. But does it specifically look, simply because there's a mid-foot strap and a ribbed back? No. It's just not. They're not the same shape, none of that stuff. It just doesn't share enough to be like, oh, this is a Yeezy 2 knockoff. So I want you guys to let us know. 2 questions, yes or no, does the Kyrie 6, now that you see them side by side, actually look like the Yeezy 2? And do you agree that there is at least a tribute or an homage to the Yeezy 2 within the Kyrie 6? And on that note, it's time to go. So thank you guys so much for watching. You signed off way too early. She's ready to get out of here. But thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your support. Thanks to our friend for letting us borrow these so that we can do them side by side. Let me know also if you guys have any weird lazy feet moments where you just all of a sudden hit a ghost hole. My favorite is the forward run and wave. That's my favorite.
I've done that.
And that's funny.